Ever notice how people don't always leave with words? They leave with silence, hesitation, and coldness that wasn't there before. One moment, they're present, engaged, consistent. Then, without warning, something shifts. Their energy feels off. Conversations feel forced. And you're left wondering, what changed? But here's the truth. When someone starts acting differently, they aren't just changing. They're revealing something. A hidden truth. A choice they've already made. They don't need to say it out loud. Their actions have already spoken. Think of your favorite hoodie, the one that once fit perfectly. One day, it feels different, tighter, rougher, like it was never really yours. Or imagine a phone that used to light up with notifications, buzzing with excitement. Now, it still lights up, just with delayed replies, half-hearted responses, and conversations that no longer flow. That's how people change. Not with grand exits, but with quiet shifts. The biggest mistake people make: ignoring the signs, chasing after an explanation that's already been given. When someone's energy changes, when they hesitate, pull away, or grow distant, pay attention. They're telling you everything you need to know. Why do people act differently? Is it guilt? Influence? Have they outgrown the connection? Or is there something they're hiding? Stay with me, because the last one will change the way you see people forever. If this video opened your eyes to the truth about shifting behavior, imagine how much more you can learn by staying connected. Every insight, every warning, every hard truth we share is designed to protect your peace and sharpen your instincts. So don't just watch, take action. Hit like if this resonated, subscribe for more content that challenges the way you see people, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, have you ever noticed someone acting differently? What did you do? Let's talk. Number 1. When they start hiding things, trust the distance. People don't just act differently for no reason. When someone who was once open and engaged suddenly becomes distant, hesitant, or secretive, it's not a coincidence, it's a sign. Something is shifting beneath the surface. And whether it's guilt, deception, or a hidden truth, their behavior will always reveal it before their words ever do. Imagine you're holding a glass of water. When the water is still, you see straight through it. But the moment it gets shaken, the dirt at the bottom rises, clouding everything. That's how people are. When they start acting differently, their silence, their hesitation, their avoidance, it's the dirt rising to the surface. They may try to disguise it, make excuses, or act like nothing is wrong, but deep down, you can feel it. And when something feels off, it usually is. Heraclitus once said, "A man's character is his fate." No matter how well someone tries to hide their true intentions, their actions will always give them away. If someone stops looking you in the eye, if they start dodging simple questions, if their energy feels forced, pay attention. People who have nothing to hide don't suddenly become a mystery. I knew a guy, let's call him Jake, who had a close friend for years. They shared everything, talked daily, trusted each other. Then, out of nowhere, things changed. Late replies, short conversations, avoiding certain topics. The excuse? Just been busy, but Jake knew better. And soon enough, the truth came out. His friend had been betraying him behind his back, trying to position himself ahead at Jake's expense. That distance wasn't random. It was guilt, wearing the mask of silence. So, how do you handle this? Simple. Stop chasing clarity when the message is already there. If someone is suddenly distant, inconsistent, or secretive, don't ignore it. Trust their actions over their words. What's hidden in the dark will always come to light. The question is, will you see it before it's too late? Number 2. When they no longer value you, walk away first. One of the hardest pills to swallow is realizing that someone no longer sees you as valuable. It doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, subtle. At first, you tell yourself you're imagining it, but deep down, you feel it. Conversations that used to flow effortlessly now feel like a chore. Their replies get shorter. Their enthusiasm fades. The energy shifts. And no matter how hard you try to ignore it, you can't shake the feeling that something has changed. Here's the truth. When someone starts acting differently, it's often because they've decided you're no longer essential in their life. Maybe they once relied on you for support, advice, or comfort, but now they don't. Maybe they've found someone else to replace the role you played. Or maybe their priorities have shifted in a way that no longer includes you. And instead of having the decency to communicate it, they just let the connection fade, hoping you won't notice. Seneca once said, "Attach yourself to those who make you better." That means surrounding yourself with people who value you, not just when it's convenient, but because they genuinely appreciate who you are. If someone only valued you when they needed something, they never truly valued you at all. I knew someone, let's call him Daniel, who had a friend that used to be like a brother to him. They were inseparable. But one day, things changed. The friend barely responded, stopped making time, and when they did talk, it felt forced, like Daniel was just an afterthought. At first, Daniel excused it as life getting busy. But then he noticed something. This friend still had time for others. The truth was clear. Daniel just wasn't a priority anymore. So how do you handle this? Stop making excuses for people who don't value you. If they wanted to, they would. Accept when a connection has run its course, and don't force what's already fading. The people meant for you won't make you question your worth. They'll remind you of it. Don't beg for a place in someone's life. Walk away first. Number 3. When someone else controls them, let them go. People don't always change on their own. Sometimes they become a reflection of whoever holds the most influence over them. One moment, they're loyal, present, and consistent. Then, suddenly, the calls slow down. The conversations feel off, and you realize you're not losing them to time or distance. You're losing them to someone else. It starts subtly. Missed calls, excuses, priorities shifting. But if you look closer, you'll see a pattern. Someone new has entered their life, and that person is shaping how they see you. Maybe it's a friend who fuels their ego, convincing them they no longer need you. Maybe it's a partner planting seeds of doubt, making them question your intentions. Or maybe they're trying to fit into a new circle, one that demands they let go of their past to prove their loyalty to the present. Aristotle once said, "We become what we repeatedly do." The people someone surrounds themselves with, the conversations they absorb, the values they adopt, all of it shapes who they become. When someone starts treating you differently because of external influence, understand this. It's not just a phase, it's a choice. And the hardest part, you can't change it. A guy I know, let's call him Ryan, had a best friend for years. They had each other's backs through everything. Then his friend got into a relationship. At first, nothing seemed different. But soon, the cancelled plans piled up. The conversations grew shallow. Ryan later found out that his friend's new partner didn't approve of close friendships outside the relationship. Slowly, without even realizing it, his friend became a stranger. Not because he wanted to, but because someone else decided for him. So what do you do? First, accept that you can't control who influences them. If they're easily swayed, that's a reflection of their own lack of independence. Second, pay attention to consistency. Real connections don't crumble just because someone new walks in. And finally, let them go. If they forget who you are just because someone whispers in their ear, they were never as solid as you thought. The strongest people stay true, no matter who enters their life. If someone drifts, don't chase them. The right ones will never need convincing. Number 4. When guilt makes them act strange, don't chase answers. People don't always confess their mistakes with words. Sometimes their actions do it for them. When someone who was once comfortable around you starts acting strangely, something is off. Maybe they go out of their way to be extra nice, almost as if they're making up for something. Or maybe they do the opposite, becoming cold, distant, avoiding eye contact like they can't even face you. Either way, one thing is certain: guilt makes people act differently. It's like when a child accidentally breaks something and suddenly becomes either extra helpful or completely withdrawn, hoping no one will notice. Adults are no different. Some try to ease their conscience with forced kindness, while others distance themselves because being around you is a painful reminder of what they did. But in both cases, their behavior is the confession. Seneca once said, "He who is guilty flees when no one pursues." Guilt doesn't need to be confronted to feel exposed. It reveals itself in the smallest actions: the nervous energy, the over-explaining, the way they suddenly seem uncomfortable in your presence. If someone who once treated you normally is now treating you differently, ask yourself, what changed? Because if you didn't do anything, then the shift isn't about you, it's about them. I once knew a woman, let's call her Lisa, who had a close friend she trusted. Then, one day, without warning, that friend started acting off. She became distant, giving short, dismissive responses. But oddly enough, there were moments where she would randomly check in with over-the-top enthusiasm, almost like she was trying too hard. Turns out, that friend had been saying things behind Lisa's back. Things she knew would hurt Lisa if she ever found out. The guilt made her unpredictable. One moment, overly friendly, the next, completely distant. Not because she stopped caring, but because she couldn't face her own shame. So, what do you do? First, don't ignore the signs. If someone is acting guilty, chances are they are. Second, don't force them to confess. If they wanted to make it right, they already would have. And finally, remember that their guilt is theirs to carry, not yours to fix. You don't need to chase closure. If someone starts acting differently, trust the energy shift. Because when someone has done you wrong, their actions will always reveal the truth, even when their words don't. Number 5. When they've outgrown you, don't hold on. Not every person who walks into your life is meant to stay forever. Some people are seasonal, meant to teach you something, to walk with you for a while, and then drift away when their path changes. The mistake? Holding on when the connection is already fading. One of the hardest things to accept is when someone pulls away, not because of conflict, betrayal, or anger, but simply because they've outgrown the relationship. The conversations that once felt effortless now feel strained. The meetups that used to be a priority now feel like an afterthought. They're not mad, they're not upset, they've just moved on. And the truth is, when someone's growth pulls them in a different direction, there's nothing you can do to stop it. Think of your favorite pair of shoes. They once fit perfectly, carried you through different seasons. But one day, they feel tight, uncomfortable, like they're holding you back instead of carrying you forward. You can try to squeeze into them, but deep down, you know, it's time for a new pair. That's how relationships are. When people change, the connection either evolves with them or it fades. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Change is nature's delight. To resist growth is to fight against life itself." You don't have to hate someone to outgrow them, and you don't have to shrink yourself just to keep them. Let them go. A guy I know, let's call him Ethan, had a childhood best friend. They always thought they'd be close forever. But as they got older, Ethan evolved. New priorities, new goals, a new mindset. His friend, he stayed the same, stuck in old patterns. Slowly, the connection faded. The truth hit Ethan one day. Holding on to something that no longer fits is like wearing clothes that no longer suit you. You can force it, but it won't feel right. So what do? First, accept that not everyone is meant to stay. Second, be grateful for the memories, but don't chase what's already gone. And finally, trust that as you grow, you'll attract people who align with where you're headed. Letting go isn't losing. It's making space for the right connections to find you. Number 6. When resentment is silent, stop playing along. Not all betrayals are loud. Some come wrapped in silence, in cold stares, in the sudden change of warmth that once felt so familiar. One day, they're engaged, present, and full of life. Then something shifts. The energy turns stale. Their replies get shorter, their enthusiasm fades, and conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel like walking on glass. You ask if something's wrong. They say, "No, everything's fine." But you can feel the lie in their tone. Here's the truth. When someone starts acting cold or distant, they might be carrying resentment they refuse to speak on. Instead of addressing it, they bottle it up, letting it fester beneath the surface. And rather than confronting the issue head-on, they let it leak through their actions, avoiding deep conversations, ignoring messages, throwing subtle jabs, or acting indifferent when they used to care. Their silence isn't just an absence of words, it's the loudest message they could send. Epictetus once said, "Speak only when necessary." But what people don't say often tells you far more than what they do. A person's behavior is a confession without words, a window into what they refuse to admit. If they were truly over it, they wouldn't need to punish you with their coldness. A woman I know, let's call her Sarah, had a friend who suddenly started acting strange. The daily talks became rare. When they did meet, it felt forced, like Sarah was intruding on her time. Sensing the shift, Sarah asked, "Is something wrong?" The answer was always the same. "No, everything's fine." But months later, Sarah discovered her friend had been holding on to resentment over something she hadn't even realized was an issue. Instead of talking about it, she let it poison the friendship until it collapsed under the weight of unspoken emotions. So how do you handle this? Don't force them to talk. If they wanted to, they would. Don't ignore the signs. Behavior never lies. And most importantly, don't take responsibility for emotions they refuse to express. You can't fix what they won't admit exists. If someone's resentment turns into silent punishment, walk away. Because in the end, a relationship without communication is already over. Number 7. When they're battling demons, give space, not pressure. Not every change in behavior is a betrayal. Sometimes it's a battle. When someone you care about starts acting distant, quieter, or less engaged, the first instinct is to wonder, did I do something wrong? But the truth is, not every shift in energy is a reflection of you. Sometimes it's a reflection of the storm they're facing inside. Life doesn't send out warnings before it hits. People can carry pain you'll never see, fights you'll never hear about, and stress they don't know how to put into words. They cancel plans, lose enthusiasm, and seem emotionally absent. Not because they don't care, but because they're trying to hold themselves together. And instead of explaining, they retreat into silence, hoping no one notices the weight they're carrying. Plato once said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Some people withdraw because they don't want to be a burden. Others keep it inside because they don't even understand what they're feeling. Either way, their distance isn't rejection, it's survival. A guy I know, let's call him Jake, had a best friend, Chris. They talked every day, always had each other's back. But suddenly, Chris became distant. The texts slowed down. The energy wasn't the same. At first, Jake thought Chris had lost interest in their friendship. But instead of making it about himself, he took a different approach. Instead of asking, "Why are you ignoring me?" he simply said, "I don't know what's going on, but if you ever need to talk, I'm here." A few weeks later, Chris finally opened up. He had been struggling deeply, but he didn't want to weigh anyone down. It was never about Jake. It was about a battle Chris wasn't ready to share. So how do you handle this? First, don't take their silence personally. Second, don't pressure them to talk. Just remind them you're there. And finally, lead with patience, not assumptions. Some people need time before they can let you in. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply be there. At the end of the day, when someone starts acting differently, it's never random. Whether it's guilt, resentment, outside influence, or personal struggles, their actions will always reveal the truth before their words do. The key is to pay attention, trust the shift, and know when to walk away, or when to show understanding. If this video gave you clarity, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Have you ever noticed someone changing on you? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience.